Namaste, welcome to Ye Hai India. I'm Anshul. Cooking oils. Can you think of cooking your food without cooking oils? It's practically impossible. But the choices are humongous. Sunflower oil, canola oil, sesame oil, coconut oil, rice bran oil, mustard oil. My God, we are totally confused. But we are scared too because it directly impacts our health. And when it comes to health, we at Ye Hai India only believe in talking to experts. And I assure you that by the end of this video, you would have a much better clarity on which cooking oil is better for you, and you must be using only those types of oils. Today we have with us Meenakshi Kishore. Mumbai and corporate life was her home, till one day she decided to lead a semi-hermetic life in the farms. She fell in love with the magic of farming, and today she manages a 35 plus acre regenerative farm. Farming also allowed Meenakshi to understand the world of food processing. Her stint in making her own ghee, butter, oils, wheat, pulses, etc., opened the world of how foods are really processed and gave her an insight into the refining foods before it reaches the consumer. She is on a mission to share the hidden world of manufacturing as it has dramatically changed the nature of food. She is also a certified yoga practitioner and truly believes in meditation. So here we welcome Meenakshi Kishore. Hey Meenakshi, I am so glad to have you on this platform.
Thanks, Anshul. I'm very excited to be part of Ye Hai India, and I know yours and my association has been going on very long, especially with Ye Hai India platform. And I am truly excited to be there because Ye Hai India platform is also bringing the traditional Indian knowledge back into our mainstream. And that's very exciting for me. And I'm hoping that I can add to that piece today when we are having this discussion on cooking oils.
Absolutely, Meenakshi. I have been getting this question about cooking oils from all over. And the one person who came to my mind who can really help us crack this puzzle of cooking oils was you. So I hope we are able to answer the many questions that we have about cooking oils. So, cooking oils have been like, if I go back to my childhood, I remember our mothers cooking in ghee, then dalda, then we moved to, sunflower, then olive, canola, mustard. Oof, it's like all crazy, right?
Right.
So, Meenakshi, we all know that we should use less of oil. All of us know that. But we all are getting more and more health conscious. But at the same time, we've also been hearing that refined oils are not good for us. Is that
Yes.
a right thing or is it a wrong statement?
So the two things I want to begin with, that Indian cooking is primarily based in a cooking medium. So whether we use ghee or oils, it's a very integral part of all the meals that we do, whether it's breakfast, whether it's lunch, whether it's dinner, right? So India cannot move away from its oils or ghee in terms of cooking. Now today, just for discussion's sake, I will not bring in ghee because that itself is a large topic to understand and discuss. And there is a big debate on ghee versus cooking oils. So I'm not bringing ghee into the purview of our discussion today, and we'll stick to just edible cooking oils. So cooking oils over the last 30-40 years have changed dramatically because the Indian industry has changed seen a lot of sea change, and we've seen introduction of various oils that have been introduced to us from the market. But traditionally in India, we've primarily had oils that were grown locally, and then you use those seeds to take out the oils and use them in your cooking, right? So typically, if you think about it, there are primarily 4 traditional oils in India, which have been going on for quite a few years, up to maybe 5,000 years. So for example, mustard oil is as old as 5,000 years, right? So in the north, it is the mustard oil that is primarily used. In the south, it is the sesame oil. In Maharashtra, it's mostly groundnut oil. And south again, you also have coconut oil. In Bengal, it is primarily again mustard oil. In Bihar, it's flaxseed oil. So it depends on the region and what is grown there locally and what people have been consuming. So these are the 4-5 oils that have been used traditionally, and the rest of the oils are more of a new or a later introduction. Now, when I talk about refined oils is basically if you break that word up, refine. So something that I need to, from fine, I need to make it refine. So it's something happened in between, so I have to get it back to the fineness of the oil. And the reason why it is that because we've introduced a lot of new seeds which were never there before. We were not consuming traditionally. And that could be a sunflower, that could be a safflower, that could be canola, that could be cottonseed oil, that could be soya bean. All these seeds are new, and to take out oils from these, there is a process. Now, refined oils typically are solvent-based oils. Now, that's a new term, which I think people should now understand what does refined oil really mean. Refined oil basically means I take a seed and I put it, I have to extract as a manufacturer. Now you have to look at it from a manufacturing process. I have to take out oil from a particular seed. So I have to really heat it up. I go up to maybe a 250 to 260 degrees Celsius, heat the seeds up, and then take out the oil. Because that way I allow my oil, maximum extraction of oil from the seed. Mm-hmm. Now, typically seeds, oils don't come out very quickly, even if you apply heat. What happens is there is still oil in the seed meal, right? So there is something called a solvent that is added to these seeds, which is basically a petroleum product, and it's called hexane. Now, hexane is added, it has the ability, hexane is a molecule, it goes inside the seed and it binds with the oil molecule inside. And that's how, when you heat it up, it's able to pull out the oil from the seed meal. So the extraction is extremely efficient, and you get you get up to 60 to 70% of oil. That's the totality of the oil from the seed you're able to extract. Now, the problem with that is that you have an oil which is binded with an hexane molecule, right? So you need to now break it and take the oil out. Now, that is one problem that occurs. And the second thing is that the heat, that is 250, 270 degrees, that is kind of applied while taking out that oil, kind of burns the oil, right? So now there is a cleaning process that all these oils will have to go through. And that includes your deodorization, because this odors changes. So there is a deodorization that happens. There's a bleaching that happens because the color of this oil is completely different. So they need to refine it. So they have to bleach this oil. There is a dewaxing that happens. And there are about 6 to 7 processes that happen. And because there is a lot of free fatty acids that kind of get developed during this process. So that has to kind of get cleaned up. So this entire cleaning up process is called refining. And the oil is also adjusted to color, to taste, to texture, to flowing, to viscosity, all of these things when this entire process happens. So that entire process will then together give you the refined oil. And that's what a refined oil is.
Well, Meenakshi, I mean, it is so well explained. Honestly, I didn't know about it. And, we as consumers, when we go to those shelves, and I was just thinking that while I am choosing a oil, if I will find some sediments, or if I will not find the oil to be really clear, good in color, I would just choose the one which looks better. I would find that, oh, it's a cleaner one. I'm going to pick up the cleaner one. That's the perception and the marketing that has happened to us all through these years, that we pick what looks good without even
Yes,
understanding what has really gone into it.
right.
You mentioned, Meenakshi, that you have to like really heat the seed up, and that brings me this to a point of what I have been hearing about cold pressed oils. So, do you think that there is a process, or these cold pressed oils? What are they, and are they like really? It's the process through which they are extracted different, and are they in any which ways better?
So, cold press oils, as the terminology is said, it is not really cold press in the sense we don't apply ice, or we are not deploying cold temperatures to take the oil out. It simply means that no heat is applied.
Mm-hmm.
So the contrast, actually, the word cold press comes because the heat solvent oils, which I just talked about, which are also called the refined oils, are called heat solvent oils. And hence, to distinguish, the word is called cold press oils. So, cold press oils typically means you mechanically press the seeds, and whatever oil comes out in a single press, that's the oil that you use without applying any extra heat or any other kind of solvents or anything. Now, the lower the heat while pressing, typically it is lower than 50 degrees when you are applying this pressure. That's what is termed typically as a cold press oil. Now, the reason why cold press oils are coming and making a comeback in the market, it's not a new oil. This is the 5,000-year oil that your grandmother and your great grandmother or everybody has been using in India. So there's nothing new about this oil. It's actually also called a raw oil. Now, the reason the raw oil has made a comeback is because of its nutritional profile. So, because the heat is not applied, there's no chemical processing, there is no breakage of molecular structures. So what happens is this oil is much more bioactively available, and it has all the bonds, it has its omega-3s, omega-6, omega-9s, whatever is constituting of that particular oil, it is intact, and hence it is far more better to consume cold press oil versus a refined.
So, Meenakshi, as I was talking about that, when we are standing, in the aisle and we are kind of choosing the oil, we see these labels around: heart healthy, good for your heart, reducing cholesterol, and so others seem to be like, they're like really bad, and then this is the heart healthy oil. So, what is this heart healthy all about?
So the oils that are typically sold as either heart healthy or fortified with vitamin A or fortified with vitamin B, or any of these fortifications that happen, typically are there because most of them are refined oils. Now, when they're refined, their nutritional capabilities, like I told you, they break down. So they need to be again re-fortified with these kind of some sort of a nutritional profile for it to make it palatable and useful for Indian cooking, right? And also, of course, it gives you an edge in terms of marketing. But if you really look, and I think most of the Indian consumers just not aware of what oil is having, because you just look at it, okay, this is a great brand, I've been cooking with it, it's a cheap brand, it's what I have been using for maybe 10 odd years or 20 odd years in my household. And I think everybody goes with the price in mind, right? This is the cheapest company, it looks like it's a really old company, so I'm buying from here. But what I would really urge the consumer today to do, and if you're interested a little bit in your health, and this ties down to this whole new age diseases that we are seeing, which is the metabolic syndrome, which is the diabetes, that today refined oils are contributing a large part of the metabolic syndrome that's happening. And these oils, which may be called heart healthy oils, and that is because they have a certain nutritional profile, are actually, if you read the labels, they're refined oils. They're either safflower oil, they're either a sunflower oil, they're a soybean oil, they're a cottonseed oil. These oils are, frankly speaking, not really Indian oils. They've come from the US. These oils have been introduced to our markets because they are very cost-efficient oils, and the commodity prices of these things are very cheap. So these oils are making an inroad in the Indian oils. And another oil which nobody seems to talk about is palm oil. And palm oil is one of the oils that is used for blending because it's a really cheap oil. So you blend it with palm oil, and you get a great price point at which to sell these oils with, right? So the question then is it really heart healthy? I mean, are you getting the nutritional profile that you really want in your food that makes it the real healthy oils? And the difference there's another difference that happens between a refined oil and a cold press oil, and that's also the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Okay, so one of the things that's happening, and I was kind of referring to, is the metabolic syndrome and the diabetes and the onset of heart attacks. That happens with a certain deposit in your hearts. Okay, so there is a very big research that has happened, and I will again share the link with you on the research, which clearly has shared that vegetable oils, which are the refined vegetable oils, are actually high on omega-6 and very low on omega-3. And this increase in our omega-6 diets. So in our diets, we've actually, even in India, we started consuming a lot of omega-6 versus omega-3s. And that is leading to the big problem of, the deposits that are happening in arteries and diabetes and metabolic syndrome. So most of these new oils also are adding to the big problem of weight increase and all of these metabolic syndromes as well.
Well, something which is advertised as healthy probably really isn't so healthy. So Meenakshi, for the last 2 decades almost, it has been drilled into our heads that olive oil is like the best oil. You have to shell out money because olive oil comes very expensive, but it is definitely a better oil to have. Is it the case? Because I've personally been using it for a while now.
So I think hats off to the Mediterranean countries which have been able to, send us their olive oil, and they've been able to put an olive oil literally on everyone's table. So whether you are an urban household with a very high income, or even a moderate middle class household, an olive oil is now part of an Indian diet. And definitely, I mean, there is this whole idea about how healthy olive oil is. Frankly speaking, olive oil has 3 types of olive oils, and I don't think people understand the difference. They just understand extra virgin salad mein use kariye or baki olive oil drizzling mein use kariye, right? So just to explain to you, and I think it's a really important part of cooking oils, because I don't think a lot of people understand what olive oil is. So olive oil has an industry, and it has a certification body which divides 3 kinds of oil. One is an extra virgin olive oil, which is the EVOO oil. Then the second oil is called a virgin olive oil. And the third oil is called a pomace. And a lot of people go and buy pomace because it is the cheapest of the oil in terms of olive oil. So you're buying an olive oil, a pomace oil, thinking it is a heart healthy or a really great healthy olive oil, right? Now the process of these 3 oils, I'll just explain to you. An extra virgin olive oil is a single press, cold press oil, the same as what we are taking out as a mustard oil. I just can't call it an extra virgin mustard oil because there's no certification body in India as such. Okay, so an extra virgin olive oil versus an extra virgin mustard oil versus an extra virgin sesame oil versus an extra virgin peanut oil is the same thing, because it basically means that I'm pressing the oil in cold press methods and taking out one single time. Whatever oil comes out is what I will sediment naturally and then filter it and give it to you. And that's what you're eating, which is the most bioactive. It's the highest quality of oil. Now, there's another thing called the virgin olive oil, right? A virgin olive oil is the industry has made it. So the industry has given a second certification called virgin oil. So in the Mediterraneans, a virgin olive oil is when you take this oil, the seeds, you press them, you take out the oil, then you know that there's still oil in it, right? The seeds still have oil. So it's put back again in the system and you again press it, okay? And you press it again. So either twice or thrice when you press it, that oil again sedimented, nothing added, nothing else, no chemical processing happening. That's called a virgin oil.
Okay.
Right? Then the third oil, which is the pomace oil, that is exactly the same as a refined oil. It is a heat solvent olive oil. So hexane is applied to it. The oil that comes out of it is exactly the same. There is a degumming, dewaxing, deodorization, all that entire process happens. So it's the lowest quality of oil that is there. So these are the three kinds of oils that are there available in the market. And when you'll typically go, because you're not aware of it, you will go and buy a pomace because it's the cheapest. But it's the same thing as buying a refined oil from India. There is no difference in terms of the processing of it. So if you really want to buy the beneficial coconut olive oil, you need to buy extra virgin olive oil. And ideally, my suggestion to you is buy it from Italy, buy it from Greece. You know, those are the people with authentic sources and they're actually doing it over there, right? And my other point to Indians is, why do you want to buy an olive oil? I mean, a coconut oil is far better. If you look at just the reason, it's monosaturated fats, which is what an olive oil is sold on. Coconut oil is far more monosaturated fats. So why don't you buy a coconut oil? Because nobody's presented a coconut oil to you in that fashion. So if you just compare between the olive oil versus a coconut oil is a far higher nutritionally profiled oil than an olive oil. The second thing is that a lot of people don't really know, but an olive oil does not have very high omega-3s. So a typical olive oil will have a ratio. So omega-3 to omega-6 ratios are 1:2. So 1 omega-3 and 2 omega-6. That's your ideal ratio of what you should be consuming. Typically, an olive oil has 1:10. So 1 omega-3 and 10 omega-6. So if I look at just the omega-3 profiles, it's lower on that. And it's interesting, and again, nobody knows about it. Mustard oil is far higher in terms of its nutritional profile in omega-6 to omega-3s, whereas omega-3 in mustard oil is 1 and omega-6 is 2. That's the ideal ratio which you should be having. And that's why mustard oil is amazing to have.
So Meenakshi, as you were speaking, all through whatever you were saying, I was feeling cheated every single second when I was hearing you, because, we all have been puppets to these advertisings and the industry. And we've been spending a lot of money thinking that we are buying something which is very expensive, but it is very healthy for us. Thank you so much for clearing this entire story around and, this entire hype around olive oil, because we're so influenced by the West that we just blindly follow. So Thank you for clearing the air around olive oil. So we've learned a lot, Meenakshi, but what is the final verdict? Eventually, what do we buy?
So the first thing, and I would definitely recommend, is a cold press oils is what you should be stocking in your kitchen. Refined oil should definitely be out. There's no point in having refined oils in your kitchen. So that's your priority number one. The second thing is that definitely try and see if you can get organic brands. And there is the reason for it, because most of the organic brands typically also allow you to have lesser of the pesticides and the herbicides while growing those seeds, right? And that again makes a huge difference in your microbiota and your gut health. So try and take an oil which is actually an organic oil. That's your second thing that you should try. The third thing is, within the oils that we've discussed, Indian oils primarily, like I said, are these 4-5 oils, which is the coconut oil, the peanut oil, the mustard oil, the flaxseed oil, and
Sesame.
sorry, sesame. Yeah. So these are the typical traditional oils in India, which have been part of the Indian culture for very, very, very long. So when you're standing on a counter and you have to buy which cold press oils to buy, right? So typically my recommendation is buy 2 to 3 cold press oils on your kitchen counter. Any day, don't have a singular cold press oil on your counter, because that means only one nutritional profile in your food. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to look at oils also from a fact, not just from a cooking medium, but also that you're getting nutrition. Now, food is medicine in this case, right? So when you're taking mustard, you're getting a certain profile of cooking oil, certain profile of nutrition in your house versus a sesame oil or a peanut oil or a flaxseed oil. So typically, you should have 2 to 3 cold press oils in your house. You need to experiment. You need to have these things, because that's when you multiply and diversify the plant food that's available in your household. That's where your nutrition kind of, whatever your body needs, kind of gets completed. In terms of Indian traditional cooking oils, I suggest stick to those. That's the other thing. But in terms of cooking, what is the cooking oil that's the best in terms of frying or shallow frying, or what you should be using? So mustard oil is your great oil for deep frying, because it's quite a heat stable oil. And it also has, like I said, it has your omega-3 versus omega-6, the excellent ratio of that. So in terms of cooking, if you're using an oil, try and use a mustard oil first. Then coconut oil are amazing, because they are high on monosaturated fats, which are excellent. They also have an MCT component, which is again very good for your weight loss as well, right? So a lot of people are consuming coconut oil even raw, and that actually kickstarts your metabolism. It kickstarts. It also allows you to do. It aids in weight loss. So a coconut oil is excellent. Even for deep frying as well as for eating raw. Actually, all cold press oils can be eaten raw, but I'm just saying that the coconut oil is mostly preferred because of its MCT value. Then the third thing is your sesame oil. Can be used for deep frying, but typically people use it for Asian cooking. It's amazing flavor. Do any Asian cooking, it's fantastic in sesame oil. Peanut oil, a lot of people do not want to use mustard oil for deep frying. So peanut oil is excellent for deep frying. You can actually use it for that, because it's also a neutral flavored oil. It doesn't give you that flavor and taste, specifically the strong taste and flavor of a coconut or a mustard, right? So a peanut oil is great for that. Flaxseed oil is typically, I would suggest, do not cook with it. Use it as instead of olive oil for drizzling your any salads or anything that you're consuming, because the flaxseed oil is very high on omega-3, and that is an oil that I feel a lot of Indians should definitely include in their foods as well if they can. So try and use it for drizzling and not necessarily for deep frying. It's not an oil for deep frying.
Thank you, Meenakshi. That indeed was an extremely enlightening session, and it impacts every single person, because I don't think we can ever cook our foods without oil. And I would also tell my audience, please go and check out Advait Living. Advait Living does a lot of, they have a lot of cold pressed oils, and go try it out. And thank you, Meenakshi. It was a pleasure having you, and we look forward to many more discussions on many such topics, which I know you can help us out on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anshul, and I really want to thank Yehe India for building this knowledge piece for everybody to kind of assimilate, because it's kind of a lost knowledge, and I think needs to come back to the mainstream for people to make a healthy choice for themselves. Thanks again.